back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Progressive Djentlemen podcast. We are your hosts, Matt and Dan, and as always, thanks for the support and for taking the time to listen to us nerd out about music. This is episode 4, and it's going to be another Djeneral Transmission episode. If you don't remember, in these episodes, we talk about what's going on recently in the world of heavy and progressive music, things like recent news, new music, new tours, and as well, things like what we've been jamming recently, what we've been listening to. I think that's a good place to start. So, Matt, what have you been listening to lately?
For me, I've been kind of getting pumped for the Spiritbox Under Oath show that we talked about last episode, maybe
I think
a couple
so,
ago.
yeah.
So I've been listening to all the bands. Just I haven't really listened to much of Stray from the Path or Bad Omens. So I've been kind of listening to just kind of putting them on shuffle. So I don't really know the song names or anything. Just trying to get a feel for their sound and listen to them a little more. So Stray from the Path is probably one of the bands I've been listening to the most. I enjoy them quite a bit, so I'm excited to see them. Bad Omens, I listened to them a little bit, but I haven't gotten into them too much. And I know they had a new album come out, which we'll talk about a little later.
Yeah, for sure.
I haven't listened to much, and that was another one that I just kind of put them on shuffle to just get a feel for their sound. And I'm kind of excited actually to be surprised by both bands whenever we see them. Under Oath as well, the headliner, just listening to, getting pumped for their stuff. Still really rocking the Fit for an Autopsy. Oh, what the future holds. So far,
you're a big fan of that. I think that's going to be probably on your album of the year list at the end of the year.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's for now. It's still staying at the top.
It's
maybe,
early.
Yeah, it is still early. We're only in March, so definitely room for someone to surpass. But right now, they're the contender. And then Acacia Strain, Slow Decay, which is their album from 2 years ago. I think just from listening to Fit for an Autopsy, they have a kind of similar sound. I honestly don't know what made me think about it, but I was just like, I haven't listened to that album in a little while. I'm going to go back and listen. And then one of my friends I saw Archspire. They had an album come out last year, and I had never listened to them before, but him and I have some overlap in music taste, so I always like to check out the things that he recommends. And their album Bleed the Future, I was listening to. It's pretty heavy and pretty awesome.
Nice.
If you like heavy stuff. So
yeah, I'm a fan. So to roll into what I've been listening to, I kind of put it on myself to try to dive into a band that I've never really been able to get into, and that's Dance Gavin Dance. I know a lot of people who I really respect their music opinions, really, really love Dance Gavin Dance, and I've just never been able to get into them, so
giving it a shot.
Since the last episode, I have listened to Dance Gavin Dance's entire discography, from the beginning to the end, and I'd love to say that, now I'm the biggest Dance Gavin Dance fan ever. I liked more of their stuff than I thought. I started a playlist at the beginning, and I just started dropping songs that I liked in there, especially since they just announced a tour, which we'll talk about later, that I have tickets for. So I just really wanted to have more songs sort of in my repertoire that I've listened to that I enjoy. So now I have that playlist to kind of listen to. And honestly, maybe listening to that will, expand my taste, and I'll start listening to more stuff in their discography as well. But yeah, Dance Gavin Dance.
I was surprised actually, as you were kind of like updating me while you were listening to their discography. I was surprised at some of the ratings, because I know what your stance was, that you weren't the hugest fan of them. So I was kind of surprised to see how high you ranked them. So it does seem like they grew on you at least a little bit. You may not be the biggest fan, but they definitely seemed like they're higher up there than they were.
I go pretty hard with rating albums. I'm very meticulous. My system is kind of insane. So they got some pretty decently high ratings as it relates to my system, but which I would explain, but I would sound like a psychopath, so I'm not going to do that. But but yeah, they I liked them more than I thought they would, more than I thought I would. And Yeah, so that's one thing I've been listening to. Another Under Oath, I kind of put a playlist together for the set list for that tour.
Yeah.
We're
That
gonna
was what
go.
I was listening to
Yeah.
actually. You put that together, so I was just like,
So
oh, well, I'll just watch or listen to their set.
yeah, I just kind of wanted to kind of revisit a lot of that stuff. I was a big Under Oath fan. They're Only Chasing Safety is one of my probably
Yeah.
most iconic records for me. That period of my life. So jamming them. Caligula's Horse. I don't know how many people out there listen to Caligula's Horse. If
Do
you
it.
don't, you need to. In particular, I was jamming In Contact, which was their record that came out probably 2016, 2017, somewhere in there.
The one before their newest.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yep. And In Bloom as well, which is another great record. So definitely check those out. And
Their
then
new album's really good too.
it is good. What's it called?
Tempest.
The Tempest.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's like my favorite track on that.
yeah. That's good. And then what I've been jamming the most like this past week is Darkest Hours Deliver Us record. That's another one of my
Throwback.
most iconic records. If you've not jammed that before, definitely do. It was produced by Devin Townsend, so if you're a Devin Townsend fan,
I couldn't believe that. Like, that's crazy.
yeah, he actually has some guitar features on that record as well. So,
Wow.
just the guitar on that album is just way ahead of its time, in my opinion. Every song on that record is like I can start that record from the beginning and just listen to it the whole way through and jammed every song. So,
I need to go back. I haven't listened to it in a while, but now I'm curious to go back and listen and see if I can pick up the like any Devin Townsend influences and like where he's playing, because just like from in my head, I'm listening to I'm playing the
yeah.
tracks in my head. I'm like, I don't hear any Devin Townsend in there.
People focus on like the two big ones, right? Doomsayer and Demons.
Yeah.
Which are like the two that gained sort of traction with that like scene. But songs like Tunguska and Fire in the Skies and stuff like that, there's so many good songs on that record that if you've not really given that a thorough listen, or maybe you've never heard of Darkest Hour, that's definitely their best record. And
Yeah.
you should check it out for sure.
I like Undoing Ruin as well. I mean, there's only maybe like 2 or 3 tracks that are like really, really good, and then the rest to me like they're good, but they're not like noteworthy, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That's how I feel about most Darkest Hour records. Human Romance is a good record as well. It's just there's just a handful of songs that I vibe with, and then everything else is just kind of like middle of the road. But
yeah, they're like consistently good. They're not bad. It's just like there's some songs in there that's like, I kind of don't remember this song or whatever. But yeah, I feel like
I can always go back to Deliver Us though.
Yeah.
Anytime that record comes on, I'm like, well, now I have to sit here and listen to this whole album. So
Yeah.
that's just how I feel about that record.
I need, just like you did with Dance Gavin Dance. Now I kind of want to do that with Darkest Hour and listen to their whole discography, because I don't think, aside from Deliver Us and Undoing Ruin, I don't know that I've listened to any of their other albums. And I was looking the other day and I saw they have several that I didn't know they even put out. So
yeah,
I
I
feel
think
like it'd be a fun-
initially what grabbed me to that record, because I wasn't really listening to Darkest Hour that much until that record, was the artwork. Actually, I think we've talked about artwork before quite a bit about
Yeah.
like that grabbing us. But the guy that did the artwork for that record did all or most of Baroness's records.
Oh, really? I thought,
And-
doesn't the singer from Baroness do the artwork for them?
Maybe it is. I don't know. I saw that whenever I was digging more into Darkest Hour's discography,
Yeah.
just in like,
Huh.
because when I knew that Devin Townsend did that, and a while back, it might have even been on like their Darkest Hour's Facebook page or something.
Yeah.
They posted like a list of features that they've had throughout their like career discography or whatever, and there were some big names. Like for some reason, and don't quote me on this, I could very well be wrong. Like I feel like I saw like Tosin Abasi in there, like
Wow,
like
really?
big names, and that kind of like led me down a rabbit hole, and that's when I saw that the person who does like Baroness's, and you can tell just by looking at the artwork on Deliver Us that it looks like a Baroness record.
Yeah, even if it's not the same artist necessarily, it's definitely got the same sort of like art inspiration. Like it has a lot of similarities.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, we're gonna talk. We'll probably end up talking about Deliver Us on a on a episode in the future whenever we talk about like iconic records or something like that, because I always come back to that record.
Yeah, if we end up doing like both of us go through and do the discography thing too, we could we could make that an episode.
Darkest Hour episode.
The Darkest Hour.
It's not prog, but Devin Townsend did.
So it's
did produce it.
Still counts.
It's in that arena.
Yeah.
But we started talking about this a little bit, and we're just going to transition into news now. So we were talking about how we were listening to Stray from the Path and Under Oath and Bad Omens, and the other band on that tour is Spiritbox. And I
don't know how I've managed to. It's like your thing with Coheed mentioning it every episode, like Spiritbox. I feel like is the band that I've talked to every episode, and I didn't this time, despite the fact that they're the band I'm most excited to see on this tour.
Yeah, same. And that's what made me a little nervous about this piece of news. So a few days ago from when we're recording this, I guess like 5-6 days ago,
about that,
somebody or multiple people, they weren't specific, in the Spiritbox camp came down with COVID-19, and that kind of put a halt on them participating in the tour for a series of shows. I want to say, I don't know, maybe 3 shows. I know they got denied entry into Canada, so they had to move the Toronto date, which was nice to see that they didn't just outright cancel it.
Yeah,
they did move that show, so hopefully a lot of the people that got tickets to that one will be able to go to the new date. But as we sit here and record this, they're actually back tonight in Cleveland. So they're back on tour, which is great news for us because we're seeing them in 3 days.
Yeah. So I was when you told me about that news, I didn't see it. So I was like, there's no way that's real. This can't be real. And just kind of doing the math in my head of like, okay, well, if it's about like a 5 to 7 day, depending on vaccination status and everything, which, I know like the venues they're playing require vaccination, like for out here. So I assume that the band would also be required to. So when I saw that, I was like, okay, well, they should be good in like 5 to 7 days. And like, I mean, selfishly, I'm like, God, I hope they play. But, obviously I want them to recover and rest up. And, if they don't feel well, I don't want them like forcing themselves, like killing themselves to
for sure.
play a show.
I respect the hell out of what they did. I mean, sort of putting the health of everybody on tour, the other bands, the staff at the venues, and the fans attending, sort of putting the health ahead of, just the desire to want to go out there and perform. And I mean, it's their job too. They're getting paid to do this stuff. So, I really respect what they did there. And I think that's really,
that's definitely the whole, like the COVID thing is like them taking the hit for like people aren't going to shows as much. And then if they do get COVID, like, sitting out shows, so they're obviously losing out, like fans may not show up or ask for refund because the band that they wanted to go see is not there and stuff. So, there's definitely a lot riding on that. And then on top of that, you got like the gas prices that they have for traveling across the US and stuff. Like it's just a kind of a combo, and it makes you, at least for me, it makes me feel awful about the situation that bands are in. And especially, it's like, I want to support you in any way I can.
And I do feel for the fans, in this situation, for the Minneapolis show where it got announced sort of just a few hours ahead of that show that they weren't going to be performing. I did see sort of in some of the fan groups and just the community that, some people drove a pretty good length specifically to see Spiritbox in that show, and they weren't going to be performing. So, that does suck. But at the same time, you got to respect what they did there.
Yeah. And it's not like they can help that this happened. So I would hope that people, and I know not everybody can, give them the benefit of the doubt and like cares about their well-being. But I would hope the overwhelming majority of fans of the band would care and, just want to see that they're, going to recover and be back to 100% and stuff.
Whether you like it or not, or whether you agree with it or not, you got to respect what they did. And that's how I look at it. But, so moving on from that, another piece of news.
We got some dour news after dour news.
I don't understand. Since we started this podcast, bands just have been having problems. I don't know. I don't get it. I don't take blame for it, but Deftones, and their bass player Sergio Vega. They parted ways. Apparently, there was some stuff that was going down for years, I guess, where the band was not sort of recognizing him as an official member. Like they were kind of outcasting him a little bit.
Yeah, I read like a brief article. I don't know if it was on Metal Sucks or Loudwire or something, but I saw something about there was like a photo that was taken and he wasn't included in it and stuff. So he felt kind of like slighted and was like, obviously, I don't have room for growth in this band.
I feel like if that's the scenario, that's never the only, like,
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
what I mean? There's
definitely.
always some, and if he's citing, I've been in this band for 12 years and I've been a part of all these records and all these tours and, blood, sweat and tears and, oh, there's a photo and now I'm not, I'm done. That's it. Like,
Yeah, it's probably
clearly,
like the straw that broke the camel's back
right.
kind of deal, not that's the sole reason that happened. And also I know sometimes those articles can be kind of clickbaity and
Yeah.
feed into it. Like I remember reading a couple weeks ago, there was like something about with like the Russia Ukraine conflict going on, that it was what's his name, Alex from
Oh, Alex Terrible from,
yeah, then it
Slaughter
was
to
like, oh,
Prevail.
he supports he supports Russia in the war and stuff, and he's like, no.
Well,
It's
yeah,
like,
he originally came out. They originally made it. This is kind of a switch up here, but yeah, they originally
yes,
came out and
sorry to,
sort of made a statement where they were like, we're neutral, and they were just like, we don't agree with war, but we don't want to get into politics. But then
yeah,
I know he then came out and made a statement like saying that what's happening is terrible, and he
yeah.
supports
I feel like it
supports
was partly
Ukraine to a
because,
degree. Yeah,
yeah, I feel like it was partly because the article like flared people up, being like, oh, you support this, and he was just like, I think initially was just trying to like avoid this type of thing,
right.
but
I mean, and
because
you
the
figure
clickbaity,
you're a band based in Russia during this horrible, horrible situation, but you still probably want to be able to go back and perform in Russia,
yes,
assuming that there's going to be, a post
yeah,
conflict situation. Which hopefully,
yeah,
if there's
yeah,
not, we're
definitely,
all kind of more screwed than
yeah.
have worse things to think about.
Yeah, sorry,
But
I kind of
no, you're
sidetracked
good,
us
you're
there
good.
from
But
just kind of,
But
the
so
whole.
like I think the media and outlets and stuff like that, that's just such a hot button topic that like anything clickbaity they can throw out there to just
Yeah,
get traffic is they're gonna do that. So I do think their initial comment was sort of just an attempt to like say war is always bad, we just don't want to talk about politics, was sort of just an attempt to like stay in the middle to be able to go back and still perform in their home country, which I'm not saying is the right thing to do, I'm not saying it's the wrong thing to
yeah,
do, I'm just saying like I do think it was slightly blown out of proportion, but it was good
yeah,
to see him come out and say like, no, what everyone's saying about us is bullshit, like
yeah,
we think it's horrible what's happening right now. So
yeah. And I think like similarly, this article probably was a little bit like, yep, he left because of this photo. And I mean, I admittedly didn't read like the entire article. I just kind of skimmed it and stuff, because I mean, I listen to Deftones and I like them, but they're definitely not a band that I have on regular repeat and I'm listening to all the time. So it was just kind of like it piqued my interest, and then I read about it and I was like, oh, more band conflict, and it's like that sucks. And hopefully
yeah.
he's able to find a band where he can grow in
Right.
and stuff.
Yeah,
But
and hopefully, yeah, both parties are able to still like trek on. I mean, Deftones is Deftones. That's a huge name.
yeah,
So
yeah.
no matter who fills that role, they're still gonna be performing huge shows and selling out shows and continuing to make music. And but the one thing that came to mind for me whenever I was reading this, and I'm just inferring, I'm not actually basing this on anything, is like their original bassist passed away back in 2013. He was in a car accident in like 2008, was in a coma for what's that, 5 years, and before he finally passed away. So like my thoughts were like maybe it was more of like a ceremonial thing, like not announcing like here's our new official bass player, like
Yeah, like they didn't want to kind of give up on
Right.
on
Like,
their
so I
OG
just,
bassist.
I just don't, I don't have any basis on that guess or that like
Yeah, just
sort of opinion or whatever. But like, I mean, I don't know. I guess feelings get hurt and any relationship in a band, being band members, that's very much
yeah,
a
you're on a bus
relationship.
together, driving around the U.S. or the whole world, depending
right.
on.
So stuff happens. You can never know the whole story, no matter who's telling you their side. And so, hopefully both sides come out of this and continue to do what they love. And,
It's a bummer that there's like not a ton of news in the world of metal. That I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of news, but not so much in the world of prog, and like the stuff that we had to talk about was like downtrodden.
Yeah,
dour
honestly, I
stuff.
mean that's what's dominating. I mean, not Deftones and Spiritbox, but I mean what's dominating the news right now is a lot more important than
Yeah.
music stuff. So it's kind of
Makes sense,
understandable.
yeah.
But let's go from that kind of stuff to like new music. Let's
Yeah,
talk
there's
about
a happy note. New music's always good.
So let's talk about like full album releases first. There's only a couple that we're going to talk about here. I know there's been more, but honestly, I've not had an opportunity to dive head first in. Well, mostly because I was listening to Dance Gavin Dance's entire discography.
Yeah, that's quite an undertaking.
But the first one I want to talk about, Bad Omens released a new record called The Death of Peace of Mind. I really probably only listened to this record because they're now on tour with Under Oath and Spiritbox.
Yeah, I'm definitely would have heard a few of their songs just because when I put them on shuffle, but I don't know which ones were from the new album.
Yeah, I listened to the entire record. And I kind of so I listened to them whenever they were announced as support, filling in for Every Time I Die, which is the last time we had a talk. We were talking about them breaking up, so R.I.P. to them again. But whenever we found out that Bad Omens was filling in for them on this tour, I went and just played whatever their most popular songs were on Spotify, and I didn't super vibe with them, but I didn't really give them a chance. So when the new record came out just a little bit ago, I gave them a much better chance. I sat down and actually listened to the record, tried to have an open mind and really kind of get something to say about it. And I didn't know how I was going to approach it, but what I feel about Bad Omens is they're kind of in that new sect of metal where they almost approach the production as like the same way as like modern pop artists do.
Yeah.
And
that's kind of what I got from the few tracks I listened to. It's like very produced.
And there are other bands that do that. Some that come to mind are like Issues. Sleep Token does that to a degree. Siamese does that. They sort of walk that line while still incorporating metal flavor into it. So there were a lot of songs on this record that gave me like Siamese Sleep Token vibes. There were some that gave me like Chevelle vibes, which was interesting. So I kind of got like a slightly more metal than Sleep Token vibe, also slightly more poppy produced than Sleep Token, with some like Chevelle style vocals in there. And then into like some kind of metal breakdown at the end. Like it was very interesting. And there were certain songs that had none of, or just like one of what I'm just saying, right? Like there are some songs that
not a mix.
It was almost just an overproduced like lo-fi hip hop beat the whole time. And it's like somebody could be like rapping to this instead of whatever they're doing. So it was very interesting.
I need to go and listen to it the whole way through and not just put it on shuffle play while I'm like doing dishes or cleaning up.
And what I think this kind of opens up for a band like this is the ability to tour with an Under Oath and a Spiritbox and a Stray from the Path, which is, it's going to be so weird to see Stray from the Path do their thing, which if you've not listened to Stray from the Path, like a hardcore band, very, very modern hardcore, to go into Bad Omens, which is very like, lo-fi pop production meets kind of like modern metalcore-ish, to go to Spiritbox, who does what they do to then it's an interesting mix really, this
Yeah.
tour. So it's going to be interesting to see, but
The crowd will definitely be. I'm curious to see. I'm sure probably most people will be there for Under Oath. I mean, they're just like kind of that.
but Stray from the Path is going to bring the hardcore crowd.
Yeah, yeah, and then I'm sure because then, like you said, with Bad Omens being more poppy, and I think if I remember correctly, I remember them popping up on Octane. It's kind
Yeah,
of
that's
like
definitely an
the
Octane
hard
band.
rock
Yeah.
station. So I feel like they're kind of more like a radio friendly, approachable band that might
They,
have.
like I said, they kind of have like Chevelle vibes at times, like that alternative rock sound meets
Yeah.
like I said, that pop production stuff. So it's very much like they tread a lot of like I could see them on tour with Chevelle. I could
Huh.
see them touring with a band like that, but and that's what I think like their sound opens them up to be able to do is tour with these like modern metal bands, but then also go out and tour with a band open for a band like Chevelle even.
Yeah. I'll have to check that out because it sounds interesting, like the mix. I mean, I'm not.
There are certain songs that I was like, I can't listen to this at all. But there were songs where I was like, I put Sleep Token in my top 10 last year. I put Siamese in my top 10 last year. So there is a place, in my music heart
Yeah,
for bands like this. It's just whenever you get to the whole song is overproduced is
yeah.
when I start to like, I don't know. Like I've just now started to accept that type of production in music, in metal music and heavy music. So I'm still limping in. So
Yeah, it's definitely sometimes those. I like Issues, but there are definitely songs that they have that's like, it's a little overproduced here. You can kind of like feel some like auto tune vibes in the voice. I mean, he's got a really good voice.
he does,
But
yeah.
there is definitely some production added to it, and sometimes it kind of stands out. And I like their music, but I feel like I'll probably have a kind of similar outlook on
Sometimes
them
it just
as
feels like they're trying too hard to be mainstream. Like which that's a weird like topic to
yeah,
throw out because then it sounds like you're a snob. And I'm not
it's
trying to
like
come off that
hipster
way
thing.
either because I enjoy a lot of music that your typical metalhead would say, like, turn their nose up at, like a real metalhead's not listening to Sleep Token, like our, quote unquote real metalhead.
Yeah,
I'm not trying to put any, like the metal elitist,
yeah,
but, you have to have an open mind with this kind of stuff. And I listen to a lot of different types of music. You listen to a lot of different types of music. So there's a place for this kind of stuff in the scene.
yeah.
It's just a matter of, taste at that point.
I feel like this show will be a cool mix, and I will. It'll be cool to get to explore the different, like you said, hardcore with Straight from the Path, and then
It's
you've
going to
got
be a roller coaster a little bit. It's going to be
yeah,
Straight from the Path, then Bad Omens. So that's, I mean, just between those two, that's going to be a real interesting
that'll be a wild
transition.
change. Yeah,
Because if the hardcore crowd does show out for Straight from the Path, you're going to get your hardcore dancers and all that stuff, and then
yeah. I'm not looking forward to that part.
Bad Omens comes out and starts singing to a lo-fi hip hop beat, and people are gonna be like, "What happened?" But I'm real interested to see how it goes. But that can be enough about about Bad Omens. But yeah, honestly, check out the record, especially if you like bands like Sleep Token and Siamese Issues. North Lane does some of this stuff in their newer music.
They've added some of that production to
Right.
their
So
stuff.
so definitely check it out if you're into that type of stuff. But the next one we're going to talk about, it's a little different. You want to take this
Yeah,
one?
definitely. Haunted Shores record Void came out. I know we did the episode where they had just put out the single Hellfire.
Right.
And I haven't got a chance to listen to it the whole way through. I started it this afternoon and was listening through a few of the songs. And it sounds pretty good. It's more Haunted Shores. I mean, I feel like this album is definitely different than their first one. Their first one was your kind of almost like periphery extension, but this definitely has, it's kind of like distinguishing itself a little. They've got with Hellfire that kind of black metal inspiration. But then they do have some stuff that sounds very Periphery like. Then that's Only Fangs.
What a
um,
song title.
yeah, I know, right? But yeah, I'm liking it so far. I'll probably finish it up maybe this evening or tomorrow. Hopefully, get a chance to finish listening to it. But I like what I've heard so far.
Yeah, it's definitely got the Periphery flavor. That's kind of what I really pick up on it. And but like you said, it does distinguish itself a bit. Those guys are just nuts too. Like I
Yeah,
love their social media presence. It's so funny to me.
yeah,
And I mean they
they're
know
funny
that they're, I
guys.
mean, but Periphery's like that. Just Periphery as a whole. Obviously this is two parts of Periphery here, but Periphery as a whole is also, they're, I mean, look at some of their song titles and so, I mean, they have fun with it. And then Only Fangs, like, rolling into the Haunted
Yeah,
Shore stuff, like it's all just that group of guys, and they all make great music. They all have a lot of them have side projects that are also great. So why
it's
would this be any different?
it's so funny to me though with Haunted Shores, like the band name Sirius and the album name Void. The artwork is very like your typical metal
Just,
album.
yeah, just dark
This
looking, and then
gross, like bloodshot, wet eyeball. It looks very hellish and stuff, like very metal. But then they have a song Only Fangs, and it's just kind of like, oh, there's those
well, I mean,
Periphery
Periphery,
jokesters.
Hail Stan, right? I just, everything they do is just all satire. Like it's
Yeah,
just
yeah. But it's funny because like the song's subject matters are usually much more serious. When then they put in like sound bites like the "Suck My Balls" thing from
yeah.
South Park and in their Hail Stand. I forget what track that's on, but it's like
Yeah,
at
I
the
don't
end.
remember either, but that's, yeah, they're an interesting group of guys,
Yeah,
but
they're really funny though. I like you said, their social media presence is always a good
that like
memes
me
and
shark man comb or whatever was
yeah,
so like, that was
yeah.
real funny. I had a good time with that.
They're like fake ads that they do for stuff where like is I forget it's Misha or no, it's Mark wears a Misha
Yeah.
mask. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, it's hilarious. Those guys are great. I also have not had an opportunity to listen to this whole record front to back. I intend to do so as well, but I'm real interested just with the singles and stuff. Where do you think they're at right now for your top?
They're definitely up there. Like I maybe say like without kind of looking at my list and having fully listened to it, I'd say probably maybe like 3 or 4. Oh,
Nice.
they're pretty high up there. I
Yeah.
mean, I like all the music that they do. I know we've talked about it numerous times,
Right.
but yeah, I appreciate the fact that in this album they have such different sounds, but they still have that Periphery stuff that you can tell
Right.
that it's them, but they're branching out and kind of doing their own thing, which I enjoy. And
Yeah. Awesome. So that's kind of it for the full records. Let's roll into singles that have dropped since our last discussion here. So
yeah,
Meshuggah keeps dropping just fire. They released a single called "Light the Shortening Fuse," and there was another one that they released too. But let's
oh, did
focus.
they release two?
Yeah, they've released two since last. I think one was like a lot shorter.
Oh, I must have missed that one.
Yeah, and then they also dropped a freaking awesome music video. We shared it a couple times.
Yeah.
But that was for the first single they released. I'm pretty sure. But like the Abysmal Eye, I think that was. I
Oh, is
think it
that the
was.
video?
Yeah, that was. I think the video was for that.
I couldn't remember.
But
It's been a busy couple of weeks. I'm kind of losing track of stuff.
maybe
But
they didn't. I swear I saw another single. Maybe I'm making stuff up. But regardless, uh, it just, every song they've released for this record so far, whether it's two or three, it's just been crazy. Like I honestly think like this may be an easy early album of the year contender, and I think sort of the whole scene is feeling that way.
yeah, well, it is the two singles at least that I've heard. If there is a third one that I may have missed, but the
I'm
two
probably making stuff up.
you just want it to be there. You will it to existence.
I dreamed a third single.
Well, hopefully it lives up to the standards you built in your in your dream. But That's quite the dream to have, though. Meshuggah,
Yeah.
was that a stress dream, or?
I don't want to talk about it.
I feel like there's no way you could have a Meshuggah dream and not be like running from
Yeah.
something. But
Yeah, I was in that video. That's what it was.
just the video and
yeah, just running through the sand and then jumping in the pit and just dissolving into thin air.
yeah,
Yeah, honestly, whenever I first saw the trailer for that video, I was like, this looks like a sci-fi film trailer. Like, it was so well done. All of it, the production quality, obviously the song's solid. So
yeah.
yeah, it was really cool. But yeah, their single was amazing. I had their last record, The Violent Sleep of Reason, in my top 10 list back in 2016 because I still did that because, like I said, I'm crazy.
Just keep on doing it.
But I honestly, the two singles that they've released so far have been better than anything on that record. So I have high expectations.
Wow, yeah, that's setting the bar high. But yeah, I like both of these singles so far, and I'm excited for this. It's what, early April, I think, is when it's supposed to drop.
Yes, yeah. I regret not pre-ordering it. There's still time. I still think I can probably pre-order it on vinyl, but I regret jumping on it early. One of the earlier variants. So let's switch it up. So Animals as Leaders. I think this is where I was like, I had one new single written down to talk about, and then realized that they released another one too before.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
So
yeah.
that's where I was in
Confusing
my
it.
head. I was like, oh, there's two. So Animals as Leaders released a new single called Gordian Knot, but they also released a new single called The Problem with Other Minds, which I don't think we discussed on the last. I think that came out after.
Yeah, I think so too.
There's two singles. And we've said this before, and I'll say it again. Animals as Leaders is just a masterclass of musicianship, no matter what they release. Both songs were great, but it's Animals as Leaders.
Yeah.
Like you anticipate greatness when Tosin Abasi and Javier Reyes are writing music. So, yeah, it's gonna be up there on the album of the year list. It's just, will it stand out? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I do like both Gordian Knot and The Problem with Other Minds. I think I like them better than the other singles that they've
And they do
put out. So
the sound is a little bit different. I mean, production wise, it does have a slightly different vibe than just your typical Animals as Leaders stuff. But I mean, they just kind of like how Meshuggah does it different, does djent different and better, like, than most. Animals as Leaders takes that instrumental vibe to a whole different level. I think really the only reason that other bands stand out to me is just sort of the different guitar tone and stuff like that, like bands like Intervals kind of work with. They kind of, you get almost the vocal, without there being vocals with the lead guitar. You know what I mean? Like the lead guitar almost makes you, it makes you feel like there's still that type of, like that, it fills that void. Yeah. Not that you need vocals in instrumental music, but
I think
it's a different vibe when you get that vibe from the lead guitar.
Yeah, and I think Aaron Marshall, like, he plays a lot of like higher notes, like he goes, up on the neck, right, and like he kind of gets that, like,
just thumping and just which I love though. So it's like it's tough, but I don't know.
It would be cool to have, like, and maybe they've done this and I'm just not aware, but having like Aaron Marshall featured on an Animals as Leaders.
That would be cool. I don't think it's happened.
Or vice versa, have Tosin on an Intervals track. I feel like that'd be a cool sound, having like Tosin's thumping stuff and like the very percussive sound, and then having Aaron Marshall's like shred stuff that he does.
His guitar tone might be like my favorite in progressive instrumental. Yeah.
Yeah, he is.
Like I love his guitar tone. It just so like bright and clean, and I don't know, just happy.
Yeah. It's weirdly happy. And
it's weird to talk about, like, oh, it makes me so happy in like in metal music, but it's true. I'm not making it up. It's pretty great.
Yeah.
But that whole record comes out soon, the Animals as Leaders record. So that comes out in like what, like 2 weeks? The 25th of March it drops.
Yeah, I was gonna say I thought it was like the last
So
week of
and they just
March.
keep dropping vinyl variants and they keep selling out immediately. So I'm just gonna wait for the retail and well, I'm gonna wait to hear the album and then if
If you
I
can find
vibe
it.
with it, I'll probably snatch up that retail variant. But
Yeah, that's the problem I have with vinyl is I'm always like, oh well, I want to make sure I like the album first, but then it's too late usually at that point, and then you have to buy it from someone trying to resell it for twice the cost.
right,
I'm like, oh, I should have just bought it because most of the time I do end up liking the record and then kicking myself for not having bought it. But
yeah, they typically always repress stuff too. So that's
yeah,
if it's a record that I really want on vinyl, I'll wait for the repress as opposed to paying
yeah,
somebody $100 for a record. I know. Well, what did you just bought
I just bought
Language?
Language, the Contortionist Language. I paid like $50 to get it on eBay. It was still sealed though, which is pretty
solid.
awesome.
And it was like one of the cooler variants.
Yeah,
too.
it was like almost like not quite orange, but not quite yellow, like somewhere kind of in between.
Yeah.
It had sort of like a marbly swirl in it.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool looking. And I mean, I didn't really care so much about the variant as much as I just wanted to have that album on vinyl.
Right.
Because it's like one of my favorites, and I haven't listened to it in a while, so getting it on vinyl and listening to it was quite an awesome experience. So
yeah, my most recent like kick myself in the butt for not buying the vinyl when it was available to me. Between the Buried and Me, the Silent Circus. It's the only Between the Buried and Me record I didn't have on vinyl, and for a while they had a variant on Amazon for like $18 free shipping.
oh geez.
And I was like, why didn't I ever buy this? And so I was like, oh, you know what? Now I'm gonna do it. You know, we've been talking about Between the Buried and Me, and I was just like, I'm gonna just do it. I'm gonna pull the trigger. And I went, and it was sold out. So I was like, damn.
No.
And we were, my wife and I were in Frederick, Maryland, and we went to a couple. Oh, that's a cool story. So when we were in Frederick,
Sidebar.
Maryland, well, we went to a couple record shops while we were down there. Just walking around, we were hitting breweries, hitting record shops, whatever. That's what we do. We're, really cool people. No, we are. But so we walk into this record shop and there's a copy of Silent Circus, and we were both digging through whatever, just looking at stuff, and my wife actually pulled it out and was like, hey, like, this is that band you like, one of those bands you like. And I was like, yeah, of course. She's not as much of a fan. But still, the fact that she's not as much of a fan and still pulled that and was like, hey, this is probably something you want was pretty cool. But I was like, no, like, they have it cheaper on Amazon, and I didn't buy it. And so I did buy a record, and it was a From First to Last record that I bought.
Was it the one with Spencer's?
No, it wasn't. It was the Dear Diary, My Teen Angst Has a Body Count.
Oh, okay.
Which is, yeah. So,
man, that was a bad choice. I mean, not that that's a bad album, but
I should have, I should. But in my head, I was like, so the Silent Circus record was $25, and on Amazon it was $18.
Yeah,
so I was like, oh, I could just, why would I buy that now? Support small businesses and record shops and whatever. But none of this is the cool part of the story. So I take the record that I'm going to buy, which is that From First to Last record, up to the register. And I hand it to the guy, and he's like, oh, we toured with this band. And I was like, oh, really? What band are you in? And he's like, Darkest Hour. And I'm like, wait a minute, like, Deliver Us, Darkest Hour? And he's like, yeah, you've heard of us? I was like, shit, yeah, I've heard of you. Like, I was like, that's one of my favorite records of all time. And I didn't know like what to do in that moment, because I never like you go to shows and like you meet bands there, and that's like you're supposed to like meet band, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that's like out of their element,
and like
kinda.
You see them out, and like you react a little differently than like not expecting to see somebody like that in a record shop.
Well, yeah. Also, it would be like if they were touring and they just like stopped in, because I know BT Bam. I'm blanking on his name, the bassist. What is
Dan Briggs?
Yeah. I was like, is it Riggs?
Dan Briggs.
Yeah, Dan Briggs. I know he likes the the Attic record shop in
Yeah,
it's like one of his favorite. I've seen him post about it and stuff,
it's
and
a great
they
record
always
store.
like keep BT Bam records stocked.
That's
And
why they need to
so,
come back to freaking Pittsburgh. Like they just another freaking tangent, but they skipped Pittsburgh on their like last two tours or whatever because they've been going to like like
Harrisburg
Harrisburg, Central
and
PA, and then
Philadelphia.
and like Eastern PA, but they're skipping Western PA. Like, come
Yeah,
on.
no
Like
love for Pittsburgh.
every time they come to Smalls, the show sells out. Like I don't understand
Well,
why. Except for one. Well, no. So
that was
like
during
so
COVID.
you were talking about that photo, right? And I looked
Yeah.
it up. That was just like the meet and greet photo.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So those were just
Huh.
the people that paid for the meet and greet.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah.
didn't
So
even
the
know that there was a
show.
meet and greet
Yeah,
option.
there was a meet and greet option.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that's all that was.
That makes sense.
Because I was like, there's no way that only like 12 people showed up to this show.
Well, I just
But
kind
like
of
we
like
both
pieced it
had
together.
tickets and weren't able to go. Or
Yeah.
did you have a ticket as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we both
I
bought
just didn't
tickets
go.
and then weren't able to go because it just kept getting rescheduled.
Yeah.
But anyways, it was the bass player for Darkest Hour, and it was his record shop.
Wow, that's cool.
So that was really cool. They're all from like the DC, like Maryland, like greater DC area. So
okay. Well, that makes sense. then
yeah,
why
so
you
it
ran
was
into that.
really cool to have that happen. But yeah, anyways, so
Wow, yeah, how did we
huge
get-
huge tangent. But the last single that got released that we wanted to talk about, one of my favorite bands, Coheed and Cambria, dropped a single called "The Liars Club." This was probably one of the, like the poppy side of Coheed. That's a poppier Coheed single, which they do that. I mean, they're very diverse in the music they release. There's like prog heed, pop heed, and just your like sort of straight down the middle, like almost like alt rock type Coheed. And this was definitely a pop heed track. It's not my favorite. It's not my favorite of the singles they've released leading up to this new record. But it's still Coheed.
Yeah, I thought it was cool. I like the. I mean, I know there's like a couple pages that I am on, like on Facebook and stuff for Coheed stuff, and someone was like, please don't kick me out of the group, but I actually really enjoyed the Liars Club, and there were a bunch of people that commented of like, why would we kick you out? Like, I like the song too, and stuff, and I just thought it was funny. It was like, do people not like this song? And I mean, I can understand if they don't like it as much as some other stuff because it is more poppy, but I don't know. I think it was a fun song. And
If you look at any Coheed record, there's a song like that.
Yeah.
Like it's if you've never heard Favor House Atlantic, if you've never heard like
my God, I love
Blood
that
Red
song.
Summer, like there's songs that just are poppier or have like a slightly poppier vibe, and that's just kind of how they have always operated. But that's also why they have such a wide sort of net for fans too, right? Like there are people that came in because they liked Favor House. There's that huge group of people that came in because Welcome Home is a thing, but then there's people who gravitate towards the Willingwells and like the proggy stuff, Gravity's Union, stuff like that. So there's something for everybody with Coheed, and this is definitely for the pop heed fans for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm just like less have a less distinguishing taste, but I find it hard to like I don't know to not find something to enjoy in pretty much every Coheed song. Like I know I'm a fan of Color Before the Sun, and and that seems like it's generally people's like one of their least favorite Coheed albums, but it's probably like one of my top 3.
Wow.
So I know
I can't wait to
maybe
do
I'm
like
just weird.
we're gonna do a Coheed episode at one point, and so that's definitely gonna come, and I can't wait to have that conversation because if Color Before the Sun is in your top 3 when records like Good Apollo 1 and In Keeping Secrets,
I feel
and
like
Second Stage, and honestly even Vaxis 1 was really good. The Afterman records,
they're also
like,
good, and that's why it's hard to pick.
That's gonna be a fun episode when we do that. We're gonna hold off, especially until Vaxis 2 comes out. We talk about Coheed in almost every episode, so we definitely need to just like purge it from our system.
Get the Coheed out.
And then I think a good time to do that is sort of after the new record drops, and that way, we talk about the new record, we talk about all of it, and we purge it from our system, and then like
You
only
can
when
never purge the Coheed.
only when new Coheed things come up, then or when we're comparing them to stuff, which might or comparing things to it's still gonna happen every episode, whatever. Which we should still have that episode happen. But anyways, that Coheed single, "The Liars Club," pretty solid. New record coming out, I think in May, end of May, I think. Yeah, it's like May 26th. Yeah, something like that. So keep an eye out for that.
Box set. I'm so excited for it.
I know. I can't. You didn't snatch up the vinyl though.
No, I didn't. The trip to Disney really.
Yeah, that hurts.
It was fun, but
that hurts the wallet for sure.
We gotta.
People out there, all the Coheed collectors are like, Coheed hurts the wallet. Take one trip to Disney and.
Yeah. Well, the problem is when you like both.
Right. Yeah. You got to pick.
It's a dangerous mix.
Do I need the gold-plated Mickey ears or the Coheed box set? Which one?
The droid building is the.
The droid Star Wars land. So cool.
Yeah. That was another tangent. So we're getting real off topic today.
So let's transition into some announcements. There's a new Monument single that's dropping. So whenever they released that artwork, I was like, is that another like record or an EP or something? Like they announced that they have a new record coming out in April 15th called In Stasis. But then did you see them drop like it's like False Providence? Yeah, it's like a castle. And I was like, is that the album artwork for In Stasis? And then it said False Providence. And I was like, did they change the album name? Because it's always been like, it's like,
I was confused.
The Amenosis and Gnosis and whatever, like all those weird,
hard to pronounce words.
Whatever. So when I saw that, I was like, that's not the record name, but it's just a single. It's coming out March 16th, which is just a few days from now.
It's weird that they had artwork designed for just.
A lot of bands do that.
I guess that's true.
But that looked like that would have been a really cool album cover, not just like a single. So that artwork was sweet. But regardless, really excited to hear that Mick Gordon's going to be on it again. He's been on every single that they've dropped since Ollie left. So it's like,
with our theory,
is this going to be like the Sergio Vega situation? He's going to be playing guitar, but not an official member of the band. Is that how?
At least it's like every track says featuring Mick Gordon. Like he's getting, he's getting the credit.
Oh yeah, he's getting the credit. I mean, hopefully, maybe he'll just become part of the band at this point.
That'd be awesome.
Like, I would imagine. I don't know. Like you say that, but then it's like you have bands that have musicians that fill in for people who have left and then just record the record and then go on their way. I mean,
that's true.
Coheed and Cambria did that on drums for No World for Tomorrow. Taylor, the drummer from Foo Fighters.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that. I didn't know that when you told me.
So I mean, bands do that, whatever. But I don't know. Cardinal Red was such a great single. Like,
that's.
I have some high hopes for this record. I honestly think that we were talking about Meshuggah earlier. Like this has a chance to be up there as well.
Of new music this year, aside from that Fit for an Autopsy album,
that was a question I was going to ask, is how does that single, like this single Cardinal Red, like compared to that record? Like, do you think that if Monuments releases a record that sort of holds a candle to that single, are they going to surpass Fit for an Autopsy's record for you?
I probably, because I think Cardinal Red it's probably my favorite track so far of all the singles and albums that have been put out. But, obviously that's one song against the whole Fit for an Autopsy album. Right. So I'd have to wait and see kind of how the whole album shapes up. But if they have a, similar sound for the rest of the album, then it definitely would be a strong contender to surpass Fit for an Autopsy.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear False Providence. I think that'll give us kind of a good idea of how they're gonna
because
how consistent they're gonna be. That'll be number three,
one?
Maybe 4. That Lavos, and then
whether that's going to be on the album,
right?
Or not?
I feel like it is. There's probably a track list out there for the record at this point, since it's announced and it's coming out.
I guess it's
April
only like
15th,
a month away.
So there's probably a track list. I mean, we already have a track list for the Coheed record, and that's coming out in May. So
that's true. Well, they also kind of leaked it, and like
Oh well, yeah. Well,
with the photo and
so the track list was always out there, but what they leaked was that
the side D.
the last song is actually like
6
it's going to be like a
songs?
suite. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah, I think it's 6. I think that's what it was. 6 songs.
Something like that. Yeah.
So that's awesome because that's always for me the best part of any Coheed record is when like the Willingwell suite is, in my opinion, one of the greatest like prog rock suites of music. But then there's the what is it, the Camper Valerium on In Keeping Secrets, and
yeah,
the
those
End's Complete, and
yeah, the suites of Coheed songs always seem to be some of the stronger ones on their albums. So that is pretty exciting that they're gonna have that. Hopefully they
Key
keep
Entity
with it.
Extraction and the Afterman records, all great songs. So yeah, it's interesting. I'm excited to see, because like they said too, you know, they're gonna test the fan base. But I need to stop talking about Coheed next. So another announcement: Haken has finished recording a single for an upcoming record. We had talked about them previously and whether or not they would be dropping new music soon. That seems like the case, because they brought their original keyboardist back into the band, and so, and they had said, they had said that they were, you know, excited to sort of get in the studio, and so it's going to be a song called Nightingale. They actually have a fan art contest going on right now.
That's cool.
If you just based on the name without even hearing the song, if you wanted to design some kind of like cover art related to that song and submit it, I don't know what they're giving away or anything like that, but it's got to be something cool. So if you're an artist, maybe jump on that if you're a fan of Haken too. So if you're not a fan and you want to win the prize and send it to me, I wouldn't turn it down. But
I'd be happy to accept your donation.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's pretty cool. I'm excited to hear new Haken. Their music is great. They're going on tour with Symphony X, or they're already on tour with Symphony X. One of those things, one of those two. So I mean, if they're coming near you, definitely go check them out. They're amazing live. I've never seen Symphony X live. I'm not a major Symphony X fan. I did listen to them a little bit, just kind of secondhand through some kids I grew up with who listened to them. So
yeah, that's similar to me. I don't have a lot of experience with them, having listened to them, but I'm sure I've heard stuff from friends listening to it, but it's not a band that I've listened to a lot of.
Yep. And one more announcement I'll bring up, that I don't actually have on my list here, but I saw it recently, is Covet is in the studio.
Ooh.
I'm a big Yvette Young fan. Big fan of Covet as well. Last time I saw Covet live, I was like a foot from Yvette Young, like while she just did her guitar wizardry. So in the basement of a bar in Lawrenceville, if anybody's from the greater Pittsburgh area. So that was a really cool concert experience. That was with Jason Richardson and Polyphia as well.
Oh wow, that's
so very
cool
like
mix.
A guitar masterclass for sure. Luke Holland playing drums for Jason Richardson. Wow. So very, very cool.
It's like YouTube stars plus Yvette Young.
Yes. But that was awesome. So yeah, so definitely keep an eye out for that, for new Covet. That's gonna be sweet. That's
awesome. I didn't see that.
Yeah,
but that's exciting.
I've seen her post some snippets of like new stuff that she writes all the time. I mean, she's always on Instagram. I feel like
I always see her like noodling around, like this little bit that
like still trying to relearn this crazy guitar part I wrote, and she's just so talented. I'm real excited to see what comes out of that. But yeah, that's kind of like new music announcements. Now we have a couple tour announcements as well. One we sort of started to talk about, and here we go again. So Coheed announced a tour with Dance Gavin Dance and Mothica. So this is the reason why I listened to Dance Gavin Dance's discography, by the way, because we bought tickets to the show, and I'm not gonna I've seen Dance Gavin Dance before and left in the middle of the set.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
That's even more surprising that you ranked them as high as you did if you left in the middle. I wouldn't. It would take a lot for me to leave a show that I paid.
Yeah, so I went to see The Contortionist,
Oh, they toured with the Contortionists.
Yeah, so it was Good Tiger, Hail the Sun, the Contortionist.
Wow, you were probably not having a
and
good
Dance
time.
Gavin Dance. So, Good Tiger, yeah, I've mentioned before. I'm not a huge fan, but honestly, some of their songs are great. And Hail the Sun, that was actually my introduction to Hail the Sun, and
Okay.
so I had not listened to them before, and actually really liked their live set. And that was back when Donovan like almost exclusively played drums and sang. Like he now a lot of times he'll like play drums for a couple songs, but he'll get up and he'll just like sing. Like he won't, someone else like plays drums.
Oh, okay.
So it was really cool to see that. And I was actually a fan, that kind of like made a fan out of me. Then hearing some of their music gave me Good Tiger vibes.
Yeah, they have very good
so I don't
Tiger
listen.
sound.
I don't listen to them as much, but I do like their music. And then but I went for the Contortionist.
Yeah.
And then Dance Gavin Dance was headlining. So
the dance, that makes sense that they were the headliner.
So when I left like in the middle of their set, which I'm not gonna do. I can't because Coheed's headlining. But even if Dance Gavin Dance was headlining, I'm sticking it out. I think I have a new perspective.
I need to listen to. I had never heard of Meshuggah, and I was so surprised when I looked.
Yeah,
Looked
that's the weirdest part. Like
that she's the opening act, or I would assume the opening act.
She is, yes.
And she has more monthly listeners than Coheed and Dance Gavin Dance combined. It was just like, how is this happening?
I'm also I'm intrigued by that. I'm interested to see like sort of I want to know her origin story, like where she like, if she came up in the same sort of vein as Poppy, for example.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was wondering. Like
Poppy garnered her following, like doing weird ass YouTube videos where she's just like, "I'm Poppy," like in the just so freaking weird. And her music is equally weird and creepy. But I listened to a little bit of Meshuggah, but anyways, if that's how she came up,
yeah,
then I can understand the monthly listener count. But I listened to a little bit of her music and it's not as weird as Poppy stuff. So I was happy to see that.
Yeah, I feel like
some of it gave me Billie Eilish vibes, which I'm a fan of Billie Eilish. So it doesn't seem like it fits this tour.
Well, who knows? Maybe the new album. I mean, Coheed did say it's going to test the fan base, so
it's half the records featuring Meshuggah and Poppy.
They're just a Poppy cover band now.
Oh man, that would be my nightmare.
This is my nightmare.
I did have tickets to a Poppy concert.
Oh really?
Yeah, they were opening for Deftones and Gojira.
Oh wow, what a weird show.
Yeah, so that tour got canceled, and whenever they rebuild it, Poppy fell off. So now it's like Deftones, Gojira, and somebody else.
Huh.
Which I still want to go to that show. Like I love Gojira.
Yeah, Gojira is awesome.
And I'm fine with the Deftones, and my wife likes Deftones, so like
yeah, Deftones is cool. I like them. They're definitely like a good kind of like if you don't know what to listen to, it's like you can't really go wrong with throwing on some Deftones.
Right.
And I feel like they're one of those bands that even if the people you're hanging out with aren't super into metal, it's like I feel like most Deftones is approachable that you could put it on and no one's gonna be like, turn that off. I feel like they're a good kind of like compromise band that's like everyone here will at least enjoy part of Deftones.
Yeah, for sure. I never got big into Deftones, but I mean I always had an appreciation for their music. So
yeah,
I actually had a couple of their records on vinyl, and
really?
And I did end up selling them. And my wife likes Deftones, so I kind of got a lot of shit for getting rid of them. I was like, you don't even listen to vinyl anyways. She's like, well, it's because you don't have any records I want to listen to. You sell them all, so whatever.
Heated.
Yeah, I don't sell vinyl anymore.
You learned your lesson.
Yeah, but so another tour. That was announced recently. This one was actually only announced a couple days ago. So, Veil of Maya and Born of Osiris are doing a co-headline tour.
Ooh.
They're going on tour with Victims, Hunt the Dinosaur, I cannot read these other ones. Jinx, it looks like, is one, and Slay Squad. Slay Squad. Wow.
Huh.
I've never heard of I've heard
Never.
of Victims. The other three I've not
Yeah,
heard
I've heard
of. But
Victims.
Born of Osiris and Veil of Maya co-headline tour. Those are bands that kind of came up around the same time. I mean, Common Man's Collapse and what's Born of Osiris's early, like with Bow Down or whatever. What the heck is that?
Oh yeah,
But like they came up around the same time. I was definitely listening to both of those bands around the same time. So that's kind of a cool like nostalgia tour for me. But also Veil of Maya still makes good music. Born of Osiris still makes good music, or at least their most recent record was pretty solid. So
yeah. Some Born of Osiris stuff. I appreciate, like, I mean, they're definitely talented for sure, but some of the like that kind of epic keyboard stuff, that
like that
kind of
Winds
thing.
of Plague style stuff. Yeah.
Some of that sometimes it just like kind of takes me out of it. I mean, they're so talented, but it just, I don't know, something about that sound for me is just kind of like that
They
epic
released a
keyboard
record last year. Well, shit.
Wow.
So
That's
I guess
hole in our
yeah. So I guess
review.
I can't vouch for the most recent record because I did not listen to it. It's called Angel or Alien. I'm gonna have to check that out. But
I missed that one too.
yeah, wow, that was completely off my radar. but yeah, that should be an interesting tour. Depending on where it's going to be at, I definitely would see them. My wife likes Veil of Maya.
Yeah, did they say, is it a US tour?
It is a US tour.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I just had that poster up because I was trying to decipher the band names. It is a US tour. They are not coming local. They're going to Harrisburg. What the heck? What is happening in Harrisburg that we don't know about? Is it just
I guess we need to
bumping
move
now? Jeez.
We need to move.
But yeah, that tour's kicking off in April.
Cool.
In Portland, Oregon, and then
They're making their way eastward.
yeah, it's gonna go through May, the end of May. So
like what, a month and a half?
yep. So should be a solid tour. I definitely would catch it if it was coming a little closer, but I'm not gonna drive 4 hours to Harrisburg for that. So
Yeah. Yeah, if they were coming, I would go and see that. Just I like Veil of Maya a lot, and
Yeah.
and like I said, I do enjoy Born of Osiris. There's just some songs where like the keyboard gets a little too epic, and I'm like, all right.
Is Veil of Maya dropping any new music? They dropped that single, that Outrun or whatever. Like that.
Oh
was
yeah,
what?
with the riff that's like
Yeah.
Trooper from
Yep. It
Iron
literally
Maiden.
sounds like the true. It is the Trooper
It's like
in like a different tuning.
Yeah, it's like and then they've got like a different guitar tone a little bit.
Yeah.
It's like more modern
Yeah.
metal tone, but it has that same like
Which the
cadence and
Trooper is
stuff.
such a good song too. So
Yeah.
I mean, why not try to rip that off?
It was so funny because like I heard it and it was like, why do I know this? And then you text
I was
me and be like,
yo, this
what
is
did you
literally
think about
the Trooper.
this? Yeah, and then you sent me the link and I'm like, oh my god, that's what it was. I couldn't.
Yeah,
I think
was
because it's
so
sandwiched
crazy.
into very Veil of Maya sounding stuff, and then
Right.
there's that one little segment there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to get a new record from them this year. Hopefully they're due for one. Their last record came out in 2017.
Oh yeah.
False Idol. So that was and that was a great record. Like I said, my wife likes Veil of Maya, and she used to bump
Wow.
that record like on the way to work. So we actually went to we saw them with Intervals
Did she like
and Cryptodira.
new Veil of Maya?
Yeah,
or
she
like
likes-
original?
No, new Veil of Maya. She
Okay.
I honestly
That makes more
False
sense
Idol
then.
might have been her first introduction to Veil of Maya.
Okay, that makes more sense because I was
Yeah.
gonna say if it's the like the
Common Man's Collapse, like
yeah,
old
like-
school.
yeah, like the
It's
first-
not safe to swim today.
yeah,
I love that song, dude.
that song
song's
is really
so
good. That's why I was like, I just couldn't picture her enjoying that song.
No, but she liked the newer stuff.
Yeah,
Like the False Idol record, she was a fan of.
it is crazy how much Veil of Maya sound has changed. They're one of those bands.
Well,
that
it's a different vocalist.
Yeah, but I just mean like,
I mean I mean look at Contortionist with Mike Lessard. I mean that they made a pretty solid change there too.
They still like they had the cleans.
Lessard does the old school Contortionist sound well too. It's just kind of it's probably not the progression because of Lessard and more the progression of the band as a whole.
Yeah.
Because I mean, Between the Buried and Me went through a similar progression as well, which in certain aspects. I mean, look at Colors versus, I mean, like Desert of Song on Great Misdirect. You know what I mean? Like stuff like, I mean,
yeah.
And then Coma Ecliptic's sound. We'll talk about this.
We're starting another episode.
Yeah. But basically the point is, sometimes it's not just the vocalist change that causes the band's transition to a new sound as much as it is just progression of that band.
Yeah. It is just like, not only is it their vocals that change, but just their sound in general.
Yeah.
Like, they're much more, they're not softer necessarily, but like with the clean vocals. They have a lot more
clean vocals.
And then like even the guitar is not quite as like, just filthy chuggy like as it used to be. It was just like
they've got some like cleaner sounding lead tones.
Yeah.
It's not everything's just over distorted, jumbled.
Yeah.
It's just they have some cleaner sounding lead tones.
And I think, I mean, maybe some people would disagree, but I think the progression is good, and like I like the way that they've taken the band. And because I mean, I feel
we're just getting softer in our old age. That's all it is.
Yeah,
that's all it is.
You kids and your down-tuned instruments. Except for we just were talking about how we liked Meshuggah.
For sure. I mean, we just like a bigger array of music now in our old age, apparently. But honestly, I mean, a lot of the new bands coming out, like a lot of the younger bands are bands. I know we sound older. Whatever. But like, I'm just saying, like new bands into the scene are taking on, like how we were talking about Bad Omens earlier, taking on that sort of like almost pop sounding production like approach.
Yeah.
While still sort of trying to do like the metal back end. Like a lot of bands are doing that. Like it's not every band. There's still like bands that come out and still want to do like traditional hardcore sound, traditional, deathcore sound, traditional just metal in general sound.
Yeah.
But a lot of the new bands, I just see music trending that way, and that's why I'm trying to be more open to it. Like, because even bands that I love are adapting that in some capacity.
Yeah, you don't want to be like, oh well, I'm done listening to new music now. I just will listen to these albums forever.
I mean, like,
not that there's anything wrong with that.
Right, and I hate that I keep going back to Coheed, but like, the overproduction on Year of the Black Rainbow was like one of the things that made me turn my nose up like at it in general. And now this new record looks like it's trending towards like a lot of production similar to that record. And I don't.
They made that disclaimer for you.
And I don't hate it as much as I did on Year of the Black Rainbow. So it's almost like, and I have gone back and listened to it, but maybe not enough to like give that record another shot.
We can do that in our Coheed episode.
Right. But yeah, there's just more of that production quality transitioning into heavier music. So, just gotta be open to it, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's the thing with progressive music is being willing and open to, the change and progression of music.
Right. For
so
sure.
I think that's just kind of a part of the genre as a whole is like, it changes, get used to it.
Right. And these bands, they want to continue to make a living making music. And, part of that is garnering new fans. And sometimes to garner new fans, you have to sort of, play along with the way music is trending. So I get it.
Yeah, it makes sense.
But anyways, so I don't know. I think that kind of wraps up all we wanted to talk about on this episode. As always, definitely reach out to us on our social medias. Twitter is @ProgGentPod, and Instagram, just look up Progressive Djentlemen. Thank you so much for listening.
Yeah, and if you could check out whenever you listen to the podcast, if you could rate us on the service that you listen to, any stars, whatever they use on your platform of choice, it helps kind of get us discovered, so more people can see us, and we can get on some charts. So that's much appreciated.
Absolutely, yeah. Like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. All those cool social media people say at the end of their
Yeah,
videos and
plugs.
podcasts. But yeah, no, we really appreciate all the support we've gotten so far, and we're hoping to continue to grow. So anything you guys can do to help is definitely appreciated on our end. But as always, thanks again, and look forward to communicating with you guys soon. Thank you.